1 minute till the show, Susie. My Just How I See It segment tonight. I'm going to ask people about what was their first motocross bike and what inspired them to buy it.
Oh, okay.
I want to know if either their friends had one or maybe one of the pros were riding a certain bike they wanted to win.
We'll have a lot of comments on that.
I hope so. You didn't have a first motorcycle, did you?
No.
What was your first bicycle? You remember that?
Yeah, my brother taught me how to ride a bike. Ricky. I don't remember what it was. A Schwinny.
Was it Schwinn?
Probably.
Was it your bike? Was it a girl's
Yeah,
bike?
it was my bike. Yeah. But yeah, I remember Rick taught me how to ride, and I think it was first push. I went away.
Yeah? Here in America? Don't swear. People are listening. Don't. Susie's parents were from Puerto Rico. They were from Mayaguez, Puerto Rico. Gladys and Raul Torres. So I sometimes tease her about when did she come to America. And she was born here.
I was born here. Yeah. First generation.
First generation, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they were born here, so that means me and my siblings, first generation.
All right. Show's going to start any second.
Ready to go. Ready to go. It's gonna be a good one.
Jordan, you with me?
You're live.
Let's get down to the starting line. I'll tell you about what you're going to see on the show this evening. And the next time try this segment, I've got a really great video for you on how to refurbish some fork caps in the Moto Showcase, a video of a 1979 Honda CR125. And here's the problem section. We've got all your questions coming in there. What's it worth? 1974 Honda CR250. In the Just How I See It segment, if you were listening just a moment ago, I want to know what inspired you to buy your first motocross bike. Was it because your friend had the same bike, or did you see a professional race somewhere and you thought, well, that guy rides a Suzuki or that guy rides a Honda, that's the bike I want to ride? Did a magazine influence you to buy that bike? Throughout the show, I would like you to comment. I'd like to know more about what inspired you to buy your first motocross bike. We've got all that and a whole lot more coming up on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and I am your host, Joe Abadi. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you, Jordan and Susie, for helping me put your show together. Once again, thank you all at home who join me every week on YouTube and Facebook for another episode of our show. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you are on Facebook or you're on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please comment Motion Pro, okay? Share the show wherever you're watching it from. A little bit later, Susie will announce who our random share giveaway winner is. You'll get a sticker sheet just like this, compliments of vintco.com. Great way to watch the show is from your big screen TV. To do that, you can also watch it on YouTube. So be sure to join us at YouTube. You can sign up, subscribe to our channel. You'll be able to see all the shows that we've put on previously. You'll get a little alert just like this. Tells you when we're on YouTube. Okay, now, as I was saying, a great way to watch the show, Susie, is to watch it from your big screen TV and comment through your phone. Watch it on your big screen TV, whether you're doing that through Facebook or YouTube. It's a great way to enjoy the show. Try it that way. As always, I want to thank our sponsors, Motion Pro, Vintco, Racer X Magazine, Preston Petty Products, Full Circle Racing, Northwest Mako CZ, the International Motocross Museum, and Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Tonight's Next Time Try This segment, I want to talk to you about the fork caps on your bike. On the left, we have a beautiful NOS cap. As you can see, it's in excellent condition. On the right, we've got a cap that's seen better days. Throughout time, with a wrong wrench or maybe even an adjustable wrench, someone has really done some damage to this little fork cap. But if it's for a race bike, I want to show you a rather simple way that you can get it cleaned up, make it look a whole lot better. First thing we're going to do is take out that valve that someone has put in. So let's get a closer look at that, and then I'll move on and show you how to freshen up that cap. My vise happens to have a set of jaws on the bottom that are cut out on a little bit of an angle. We'll be able to hold that fork cap on there a lot better than the regular jaws on the other end. I've also triple wrapped the threads on that fork cap with some duct tape just to give it some added protection. It's very, very important that when you're working on something like this, obviously you don't want to ruin the threads, but you need a good, secure way to hold the cap in some way so that you can actually file it, sand it, or do whatever you're going to have to do to make it look nice again. Now I've got 3 different files that I'll be using here. I don't know which one I'm going to be using first. Depends on how the aluminum reacts to the file that I'm going to be putting on it. This one happens to have a little bit of a large nick right here, so I think I am going to use the coarsest file, the bastard file, just to get that down a little bit. This cap is also, I guess you would call it, convexed over the top. It is curved, so you do want to keep that in mind, that you don't want to make it flat. You want to try and keep the contour of it. And yes, I did take out that little Schrader valve that was on it originally. So let's take a couple of passes with this file and get this big gouge here down first and see how that goes. You want to take your time. You could always go back and take off a little more. You don't want to take off too much material at once. Okay, we've got that big one down, and this one over here, yeah, looks like it's sticking up pretty high too, so I'm going to continue on with the coarser file on this one. Now, I've got those 2 higher spots down. I'm going to go down to the next finest file, and I'm going to continue on around. It is curved over the top. It is convexed, so we're going to try and keep that shape as much as we can. I think we've got the top looking pretty good with just the files. I'm also going to be using some 220 grit and 320 grit sandpaper. We're going to start off with the 220. And the same way when I sand gas tanks or anything else, I always try and keep the sandpaper in the palm of my hand. Or sometimes you need to use just your thumb, like in a situation like this. All right, we're looking pretty good with the top of that cap. Now, I'm going to change the angle of the camera, and we're going to be taking a look at some of the damage that's been done to the flat sides of the top of this cap, and I'll show you how to make those look a little bit better too. You're going to be careful when you file. You're only going to make it so nice. You don't want to take it down too far, just enough to kind of get it cleaned up. For this one, we're going to use our the fine file. So we're going to start by going across this flat section and try and stay away from the flange with this edge of the file. This edge of the file you don't want biting into that flange, otherwise you're going to cause more damage. So try and keep it away from there. Keep it flat as you can with the contour, with the edge of the nut. Go one way nice and easy with your file. And it's making it look a little bit more respectable now. We're going to flip that cap over in the vise in just a second, and we'll get it going this way too. Now, it may not be perfect when you're done, but it'll be better, it'll look better, and at least you'll have somewhat of a square edge on where your socket will still be able to grab that cap properly. It's looking a lot better. Yeah, you do have a couple little nicks in there. I'm going to work on that with some sandpaper, get that flange cleaned up, and then we're going to polish it up. Well, there you have it. After a little polishing, it looks pretty good. Of course, the filing, the sanding, all of it helped to get it to where it's a whole lot better than what it was. And just for a little comparison, this is the one from the other side. And it is a 22 millimeter cap. And if you use the right socket to put it back on, well, there isn't much play in there at all. And I think you'd be hitting on the majority of all those high points of the top of that fork cap. So next time, try that. Okay, in the Moto Showcase tonight, this is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. We have a 1979 Honda CR125 that was sent in to us by Paul Delanoy. Now, I've been asking people on the page, I've made a little video this week, to ask you all to get a little more involved with the show and make some videos like this. Mark Hildebrand sent one in a couple of weeks ago, and Paul Delanoy sent one in this week. Take a look at this video. This is the kind of things that we're looking for. So if you can, yeah, make a video like this, send it in. Let's take a look at this video. Jordan?
This is my 1979 Honda CR125. I purchased this about a year ago. It was in a dilapidated state, but it did have compression, and once I cleaned the carburetor out, it did run. I rode it about 3 laps on the track, and it blew up. So at that point, I decided to do a full rebuild. Sent the cylinder off to Millennium and got Nicosil cylinder, new piston and rings. We split the cases, inspected it, installed new bearings and seals. The case and the tank, the frame, the swing arm were all sent off to Condello Customs in Phoenix for powder coating. The wheels were sent off to W to get the hubs powder coated, new spokes and Excel wheels. Purchased some shocks from Vinco, all new plastic from VMX Racing, and DC plastic, and also front fender from Preston Petty. Was fortunate when I bought the bike, it did have the DG head on it, and it did have the 78 CR250 forks with the DG style air cap. So put everything together. Also installed a larger 34 millimeter Mikuni to replace the 32 millimeter Kian, and also new seat cover and foam, and replaced the 79 side covers with the 80 side covers. Purchased the brake torque arm from Chris Elderfield, along with the chain guide, also the chain adjusters. The pipe is a Mugen replica. Also the silencer is a Mugen replica from Holly Equipment in Japan. Really glad how this bike turned out. Really sweet looking bike. I had this back in the day when I was a kid, raced it in 79 and 80. And it was a great bike to race. Just aren't enough people around this area to feel the class for this bike, and don't like racing against myself. So putting it up for sale. It's a beautiful bike, runs great, and I want to give a shout out to Ryan Wilson over at Factory Edge in Phoenix. Did all the motor work. Just a super mechanic, nice guy. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Paul Delanoy, 1979 Honda CR125. And Paul, if you get me your mailing address, I will get you a coffee mug just like this, compliments of Vintage Motocross Q&A and Preston Petty Products. And if you're watching that video, that's kind of the thing that we're looking for. We'd like to feature your bike here on the show. And don't forget, keep commenting about what was the inspiration for you to buy your first motocross bike. Did you see a professional guy race it and you wanted to be like him? Did you see it in a magazine? Did a friend of yours have a bike just like that? Keep commenting. We'll be reading your comments back a little bit later on in the show. Thanks again, Paul Delanoy. This week's Preston Petty special is this LED headlight. It was regularly $139. Now it's just 119 bucks. This is the one you do have to wire up to your bike. This is not the one with the self-contained battery on the back, but this one is good. And the assembly comes with a 12-volt, 35-watt LED with 1,200 lumens. It's got a custom voltage regulator on there, but you do have to wire it up to your bike. It does come, of course, with that Preston Petty sticker as well, and the Preston Petty logo emblazoned on the front. Thank you, Paul Stannard, for all you do. But this week, you got a great special going on. 20 bucks off that Petty headlight. And here's the problem segment tonight. We will take a look at some of the questions that you have sent in over the past week. What's the first thing we have up tonight, Jordan? Chris McCullum, the Simon's forks on my Fox replica Suzuki are dangerously close to the gas tank. You're an expert at taking dents out. Thank you. How do you put some dents in? I would not recommend that you put dents in this tank, Chris. What I would recommend is, and there's a picture of Chris's tank and how close, dangerously close those forks are to hitting that tank. I had an RM 250 and a 370 a while back. There was a fork change on it. And I can tell you, the best thing you can do is put a larger fork stop on the triple clamp. That's one way to do it. Now, here's a good shot of the frame. And you can see where that plastic rubber puck is, and that's what holds your gas tank from going forward on the frame and, of course, getting you closer to the forks. What you could do is get a bigger puck like that, or build up the inside of the gas tank where that impression is, okay, where that cutout is, and keep the tank from going any further forward. This is really something that's not very, very difficult to do. And the good news is you don't have to line up with any holes on the tank the way you would have to, let's say, on a 74, 75 Honda. There are no holes. There are no holes where the bolts go through to mount it into the tank. You've got that big rubber strap around the front of the frame, and you can move that tank back, still put that strap around, and for some additional security, I would recommend going with a little bit of a bigger fork stop on those triple clamps. I hope that helps, Chris. And don't dent the tank, whatever you do. Here's the way it looked on a real Fox bike way back in 1977. It looks like they got it sitting back there a little bit. Chris, thanks for the question. Lisa Erickson, I have some 1974-75 Petcock questions and discoveries I'd like to share with you and your viewers. And Lisa Erickson does write in. I was hoping that it would be possible to use an MT tank on my CR125. I've had two 76 MT125s. They are 6 digits apart on the VIN number. I have seen some examples of 1975 CR125s that the petcock looks exactly like it does on the MT125. And Lisa wrote me this question, and I was a little perplexed when she wrote this because from what I learned, the tanks are not the same. Now, she also goes on to say that she figured it out. According to a parts microfiche she looked at, and a company called CMS, and they reproduced some parts. The 75 came with 2 different petcocks at 2 different times. The 74 style was used up until serial number 214900. After that, the style changed to like the MT125. I didn't know that, Lisa, and that was some very, very interesting information. I have seen 75 bikes out there that I thought had a 74 tank on it, and maybe it didn't. Maybe it actually had the leftover 74 tank on the 75 bike. And then I've seen them also where it's got like the MT125 petcock, and I'm thinking, well, it's an MT125 tank. But you just kind of cracked open a little bit of a mystery for us here. So if anybody has a 1975 CR125 and your serial number is 214900, you might have a different petcock than you think you should have. Lisa, thank you for that information. Very, very good. By the way, while I'm thinking about it right here, Jeff Kokoski sent in a question this week. Jeff, I'm still doing some research on it. The question was about the cases not matching up on an RM 125C Suzuki, and they don't actually look the same at the front motor mount. I'm still doing some research for you, Jeff, and we'll have an answer for you next week. Thanks for sending in those questions, though. Let's get on to the next one. Jordan, what do we got? Craig Smolin, I discovered this chrome black spray in a finish, and it is close to resembling black zinc. Thought you might like to share that with the viewers of your show. Let's get a look at that, Jordan. There it is. It's from Rust-Oleum, and it is called Custom Chrome. Now, in the picture, you can't really tell, but Craig did do the black Kickstarter on that KX80, and there is a difference in the shade and the way this chrome black looks. Now, For a restoration, I probably would not recommend it. If you have black zinc parts on your bike, you should have them black zinc coated. But if you had a race bike and you want to make it look nice, like on some of your early CR79, I remember, CR125, some Suzukis as well, on those black clamps that go on your air boot and a couple of other parts as well, it might be a real nice touch to hit it with this custom chrome paint, being it looks very, very similar to a black zinc finish. Craig Smolin, thank you for sending in that information to us here at the show. Next, Jordan.
Hi, I'm Sue Fish. You are watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.
Hi, Jeff here, introducing you to Motion Pro's magnetic pickup tool today. Now, we've all had that bad experience where we drop a loose part or fastener into a hard to reach place like a skid plate or belly pan. Well, this is the right tool for the job that will retrieve that stubborn part and get you back to working on your ride. As for the features of the magnetic pickup tool, first you have this billet aluminum handle. There's a low profile magnetic tip that's extremely strong and in fact will even pick up a Motion Pro T handle. This flexible shaft can get into hard to reach places and with its protective coating won't damage the finish on your motorcycle. The magnetic pickup tool is affordably priced at $14.99 and is available from your favorite power sports dealer nationwide. So avoid future frustration and pick one up for yourself today.
In the What's It Worth segment tonight, we take a look at a 1974 Honda CR250 that recently sold on eBay. This is the segment of the show where I encourage you, the viewers at home, to type in, guess the amount that this bike recently sold for. I will tell you that it did sell in Southern California on May 22nd. Jordan will go through the slides and I'll tell you a little bit more about the bike. Up for auction is 1974 Honda CR250, the bike that started it all, a 1974 Elsinore. Numbers are matching the motor and the frame. It's about 90% complete, mostly just a few different pieces on the hardware, but mostly all there. Has larger rear shocks that were an option back then. No, they weren't. It runs and shifts correctly. This is a great start for someone who wants to do a full nut and bolt restoration. New swing arm bushings as well. Not the original front number plate. Front rim has a flat spot, which was taken out, but it has no cracks in it. There's some dents and scratches and cuts as pictured, as expected from a 50-year-old motocrosser. I can assist with loading the bike to your transporter of your choice. I can also transport it around LA, and I will ship overseas if you wanted to give me some help with that with a shipper. But there it is, 1974 Honda CR250. It does look pretty original. I mean, it's got all the good parts on it that you would want the bike to have if you were going to restore it, including a nice pipe, the pickle, the unbroken ignition cover, and the tank doesn't look that bad as well. What do you, the brilliant viewers at home, think this bike recently sold for? $4,500? $5,895, $6,000. This bike actually sold for, Jordan, $5,900. $5,900. I think that was a really, really fair price for a bike this complete, certainly worthy of restoration. I am seeing these things sell these days now with a good restoration done on them properly. 12,500, 13,000, somewhere in that area. And this guy's got the right parts on this bike for you to do or get started on a good restoration. There it is, $5,900. Who got the closest without going over?
Robert Frigon.
Who?
Robert Frigon.
Robert Frigon. Very good. What do you guess, 5,900?
58.
5,800. It's pretty close. What's up next, Jordan? Full Circle Racing is still running a great powder coating special, just $50 a hub. And for a few bucks more, like $10 more, he'll do the backing plate as well. That comes in matte black and, of course, gloss for $20 more. He'll make it any color you want. And there's also a great special going on this week at Full Circle Racing. Tom is back making backing plates for the CZ. And he sent me this little message, the latest production of our third generation of the original CZ backing plate. I've been making these plates for over 20 years. They're made from 61 T6 aluminum. The bearing is bronze, the pivot bushing with the O-ring seal and stainless steel pivot shaft. This replaces the problematic original stamped aluminum cover with a steel center support. It's $179 with the logo. If you do not want the logo in there, it's just $169. You get a hold of Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing for your spokes, for your hubs, for your rims, for CZ backing plates, for powder coating your hubs. The man's a marvel. I don't know how he does it. Thanks, Tom McAllister. In the Did You Know segment tonight, I'd like to bring something to your attention that you may not have known. The 1981 Honda CR125 and 250 came with this little tricky shifter. I don't know if you ever recognized this before, and I've seen them before on some bikes that I've parted out, and I always thought, well, it's broken. It doesn't have a spring on that belongs on the front of it. It had this folding toe thing going on, but the way Honda did it in their infinite wisdom was, next slide, Jordan. It's probably even a slide after that. There it is. They put this rubber band across the back, kind of like the rubber straps that hold on the number plates to the 1974-75 Honda CR125s. And they put that on the back of there. And for guys that are restoring these bikes, they are extremely difficult to find, and they seem to be very, very expensive. And it's just one of those things that I'd seen it before and thought there was something wrong. A spring was missing. I just happened to notice the other day while reading something in Motocross Action on their website that this is exactly how that they built it at the time. In the 81 CR250, it was a bit of a strange bike with the front number plate and a couple of other things going on there that were a little new for the time. But there you have it, a very unusual shifter with that little rubber band back there. And for guys that are restoring them, they're paying crazy money. Did you know about that? I didn't really know about it either till just the other day. Sunrise Vapor Blasting. I'm wearing the shirt. I love what he does for me. I'll tell you what. Sunrise Vapor Blasting gets more parts from me for our restoration than you can shake a stick at, and you should be sending him your stuff too. Mark Farriasser does an absolutely incredible job. His turnaround time is about 1 day, and his prices are exceptionally reasonable. Whether it floats, flies, or rolls, get it to Mark Farriasser at Sunrise Vapor Blasting. If it's delicate, if it has some brass fittings that are pressed into it like a carburetor, you don't have to worry about that. He's got a real delicate hand. Sends you back these parts looking better than new, and it's a great way. If you're going to polish something, it's a great way to get starting on a polishing job too. Let's say a set of lower fork legs or anything like that. Send it over to Mark Farriasser, Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Get it back to you quick at a fair price. Thank you, Mark. We are going to take a commercial break. When we get back, we will have the winner of tonight's random share giveaway contest. Donnie Hanson is watching. No, I do not have wine in my cup tonight, Donnie. I've got some water and lemon and good stuff like that. Don't forget, keep sharing the show. We'll be back right after this message from our sponsor.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vinco knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vinco, keep the ride going.
All right, as promised before the break, we have the random share giveaway winner, Lee Miller. Lee Miller, you are tonight's random share giveaway winner. Get us your mailing address and we'll get you a sticker sheet just like this. Compliments of Vintco.com. Lee Miller. Thanks for watching and sharing the show. Okay. The Just How I See It segment was something I brought up a little bit earlier in the show. In fact, I brought it up at the top of the show. What was some of the reasons why you bought the first bike that you bought? Was it something that you read about in a magazine? Was it because one of your famous racers was riding the bike at the time? What made you go out and buy your first motocross bike? Mine was that bike, actually the one you see in the picture. Not that one you see in the picture, but a 1976 Yamaha YZ125C. Susie's going to be with us in just a moment to read back some of the comments that you have. But yeah, that was my first bike. Why did I get it? Because it was the monoshock. I was always kind of a Yamaha kid growing up. It seemed to be the next big thing, and it basically was. It had a 6-speed instead of a 5-speed, like an RM125M. Everybody and their mother had an Elsinore, and Kawasaki's weren't that competitive. So I worked my buns off all summer with my dad. He paid me $1,000 at the end of the summer. I went out and bought that bike. That's why I bought a YZ125C. Susie, what are some of the comments that some of the other people have on why they got their first bike?
Well, Jordan said.
Jordan Woodworth.
Rambo First Blood, to see where he escapes jail and clotheslines a guy on the dirt bike and races it off into the woods.
That's why Jordan bought his first bike, because he watched Rambo get clotheslined?
I guess.
All right, let's go with that, Jordan. Who else?
Jeff Kokoski says, first race bike, Yamaha YZ125. I'm high school and I was torn between Marty Smith and Bob Hanna. I ultimately gravitated to Hanna.
Right.
Gig Hamilton, a mechanic friend of mine and shop owner, had two 77 YZ.
Yeah, well, Jeff, you brought up an interesting point. That was kind of a complex thing for me too at that time, because yes, I was a Marty Smith fan, and I was thinking about a Honda, but things just changed when that YZ125C came out, and therefore I went with that, and that's how that goes. What else we got, Susie?
Phil Liberty said Penton Berkshire 100.
Penton Berkshire 100 for Phil Liberty.
Yeah, Eric Weiss on any Sunday started most of the racing, he thinks.
Okay.
And 72 Suzuki, his wife was his mechanic.
Whose wife was his mechanic?
Eric Weiss.
Eric Weiss? Really?
Isn't that funny?
Well, that is a love story, just a match made in heaven. Anybody else with some interesting?
Tom Doss says 73 MX GT80.
GT80, but what made him buy it? Did anybody put down why they actually bought the bike? What inspired them to buy it? No, well, that's okay too.
Paul Knudsen says Honda Super Rat after snapping the down tubes on my full rope mini bike.
Oh, on a Hodaka Super Rat, not a Honda.
He saw, Brian Webley says he saw Stuntman in Stuntman Burt Reynolds movie.
Mm-hmm. Hooper. Yeah.
He slid an RM under a truck. Then he wanted it.
That's when you wanted it, when you saw him slide an RM under a truck. That's interesting.
Funny?
Hey, look, I want to thank everybody for sending in their comments, and we'll be back next week again. This is not the end of the show. I'm just saying that. We'll be back next week with another just how I see it. And sometimes I don't know how I see it. I ask you, how do you see it? And what made you buy a bike, and what really, really inspired you? And thanks for playing along, guys. What do we have up next, Jordan? This Week in Motocross History, brought to you by Racer X Magazine, one of the finest motocross publications on your newsstand now and also online. Our ad is in the back of every issue. Let's get right to it. What do we got first, Jordan? 1983, Carla versus Brock. This was an interesting race. Yamaha's European star Hakan Kalkras and Yamaha's U.S. star Brock Glover clashed it out at the 500cc U.S. Grand Prix Motocross in Carlsbad, California. Glover would go 2-1 and Kalkras would go 1-2. But the overall went to the Swedish rider based on elapsed time. Hakan was 3.781 seconds faster than Brock Glover when adding up the times in both motos. This did not make the Golden Boy very happy, but he did get revenge the next year in 1984 when Brock Glover did win the U.S. GP on Yamaha. Next up, Jordan. Bradshaw versus Bell. This is going to be really interesting. Stick around. You're going to see something really cool here. Yamaha's Damon Bradshaw. He won a thrilling event at the LA Coliseum, holding back Jean-Michel Bale. It was really, really great. In fact, I've got some video for you with two of the best announcers ever in the business. Jordan, let's roll the videotape.
Less than a lap now to go. Bradshaw, can he do it? Can he hold him off? And I guess the question is, can Bale make the pass? I don't know where it's going to come from, if indeed he can. Bradshaw, the good line. Here comes Jean-Michel Bale. Bale got a drive. Bale goes into the number 1 spot. Here comes Bradshaw right in. He hits Bale. Oh, a little bit of contact. Bradshaw took the lead back. We're sitting here wondering, where can he make the pass? And we just saw 2 of them inside of about 5 seconds. And this one is still not over. Side by side through the roughest part of the racetrack. And Bradshaw grabs a handful, comes out in front. What a race this turned out to be.
Bradshaw absolutely will not let him by. When he got by, he just shoved the elbow, shoved the shoulder, said, there's no way you're going to pass me. Bale will make another shot at him because this is where most of the passing's been done. They're coming down to the checkered flag.
It's over now. It's all. No, look at Bradshaw. Bradshaw is off the motorcycle. I don't believe it. What a way to end the season. What a way to end the series. Bradshaw was completely.
What a great race called by two of the greatest announcers ever, Larry Meyer and Dave Despain, the good old days of early Supercross when beer companies and cigarette companies were actually the sponsors. Boy, do we miss those times. Up next, it's 1988, and it's Henry. Doug Henry returned to Budds Creek, a track that bit him hard twice, and won aboard the big Yamaha Thumper, going 2-1 to the 1-4 of his Yamaha teammate, Kevin Windham, and the 3-3 Suzuki of Mikhail Pichon. In the 125 class that day, defending champ Ricky Carmichael raced with Chad Watts' tuned Pro Circuit Kawasaki KX 125 to a 1-1 moto finish. And that's what's going on in MX history this week. We do have some announcements for you tonight. The announcement I have up first is about the International Motocross Museum. Now, you've heard me speaking about this over the past couple of weeks. And September 21st, A Night with the Champions 2. It's going to be a fabulous evening. The first one was absolutely phenomenal, but get your tickets now. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and you will be able to secure your tickets and get a good hotel room right near this place before they sell out. You're going to have a problem if you don't get over there soon. They sold out last year. Now, you've heard me talk about guys being there like Roger DeCoster and Bob Hanna. Here's an idea. This is what I did. I took this helmet with me last year to that event, and I did have Bob Hanna and Roger DeCoster sign it along with some other people that were there. Warren Reed happened to be there that night. Ricky Johnson was there that night. But you might want to get a helmet just like this. Take it with you to the International Motocross Museum's event. Start getting some autographs. And don't forget, Heike Mikkola is going to be there. Garrett Walsink are going to be there. We're talking about guys, that are from the Netherlands and from Finland. I don't know how many more trips they're going to be making back to the United States. This is a special event. I'm not even sure when the last time either one of them were here. I think Walsink was here a couple of years ago for the Carlsbad event, but I don't recall Heike Mikkola being in America for quite some time now. Wouldn't it be really special to get a picture or an autograph with Roger, Heike Mikkola, Garrett Walsink, and a lot of other people that are going to be there too. I'll be telling you more about the International Motocross Museum event as we get closer. In the meantime, don't forget, go over to their page. If you don't think you could make it there for the event, buy a poster, buy a hat, get a shirt, do what you can. A building has been secured by Terry Good, 100,000 square feet. We know he's got the bikes. We know he's got the team behind him that are help putting this together. It's going to happen, guys, and you're going to want to say that you were a part of it. International Motocross Museum, more to come in the next couple of weeks on the show and during the week in some special videos. Got a race coming up. It's at Ward Creek, and that is in Raymond, Washington. That's coming up. The date is on here, July 30th and 31st. Okay, that is it's going to be a great event. I remember a couple of people told me they went to this last year. There's a practice from 9 to 10, and the gates open on Friday, and it's racing on Saturday and Sunday. So if you're up there in the Great Northwest, Raymond, Washington, get over to Ward Creek, have yourself some fun. And this is supposedly the best AHRMA event in the country. They say it's even better than Mid-Ohio, although it doesn't have the swap meet. You've got the AHRMA Northwest and Southwest Regional Series. This happens at the Monterey Fest in Monterey, California. All the regular classes that you expect with AHRMA, including cross-country and the post-vintage classes. This is coming up on July 15th through the 17th. What a beautiful way to spend some time in Monterey with your vintage bike. July 15th through the 17th. It is an AHRMA race. Finish line is brought to you by Northwest Mako CZ. And you know what? Alan Brown just got a lot of great little parts over there for your Makos and CZs. Things like these trapdoor throttles, Magura controls, and those billet brake pedals, and the list goes on. Get a hold of Alan Brown at Northwest Mako CZ. T-shirts and hoodies are still available, Susie, believe it or not. Imagine that. They come in gray, they come in white. They've got our logo across the front and my autograph across the back. Follow the link in the show description. Get yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt while they last. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are going really, really well. Some of our sponsors have been with us for over 2 years now. They're hitting at least 20,000 people a week, 80,000 people a month, and they're still around. That's why Preston Petty, Vintco, Full Circle Racing, and everybody else does remain on the show. They're seeing results. If you've got a product or a service that you would like to have us tell our viewers about, get a hold of me. I'll send you a sponsorship proposal package, and we will get you some information on that. And it's a little bit more affordable than you might think. While I'm thinking about it, the York Swap Meet. Yeah, January is a long way off. You're sweating your spuds off right now, and it's the summertime. But before you know it, it's going to be January. You're going to have nothing to do. You're going to be sitting around. Super Bowl's going to be over and everything else. You're going to say, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to the York Swap Meet in York, Pennsylvania. Okay, the Potomac Vintage Riders are having a banquet the night before. I am going to be there. I'll be the judge of a show. Last year, Warren Reed joined me. I'm not sure who is going to be my partner in crime there this year, if there is going to be one at all. But anyway, I will be there January 22nd. Thank you, Bill Nazelrod and Mike Slate. Anything else, Jordan? That wraps it up for another episode of Vintage Motocross Q&A. I am your host, Joe Abadi. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you, the lovely Susie, who has done such a wonderful job of reading back all of your comments. Jordan, Chelsea, everyone here. Lee Miller, don't forget, get me your mailing address. I will get you. Come here, Gino. Don't forget, get me. You're going to hang yourself. Don't forget, get me your address, Lee Miller. I will get you a sticker sheet. And anybody from last week, I got some new sticker sheets. I think Robbie Vassallo won last week, and Dylan Lucas is still waiting for a sticker sheet from me. You guys are going to get them, okay? We'll see you next time on Vintage Motocross Q&A.